Okay. Uh, Hold on 1 second. We're now live. Let me just tweet this. I don't know. Hold on 1 second. It's not official until I post it on Twitter. Okay, cool. Hey, Nate Master Flash is here. Alright, I guess we can go ahead and get started. Yeah, I mean, welcome everyone. On Fridays we do the. Actually, 1 second. Great. On Fridays we do the game design critique stream where we look at a current indie game that's in development and talk to the developer. So today we have with us Garrett Polk with his game Wondee. I actually don't know too much about you, Garrett. Do you want to start off by just kind of giving us an introduction?
Oh, sure. Let's see. Well, I started programming when I was about 12, and what I did to learn was to make games with a friend of mine who we both had the same TRS-80 color computer at the time, so we were both making games and kind of almost competing with each other about who could make the better game, who could do something cool. And he started making Missile Command, and I was all jealous. That was a great motivator for me to learn how to program games. And then after college, I got a job doing some development and a little bit of graphic design and all kind of weird stuff. And long story short, ended up working in the security software industry for quite a few years until I got burned out on it and decided to go back to making games. I've been fascinated with games since I was about 2 years old.
Yeah. So it seems like you were doing this stuff like super early before these engines are allowed. And now when was the jump back from security to games again?
Last year. So I've been at it for a year.
So you kind of come back when like all the engine studios are like giving away their engines for free and
it seemed like a good time in terms of the tools were there because a long time ago I looked into doing DirectX stuff and I was just shaking my head going no. It was a little much that I wanted to take it on. These guys that write their own engines, hats off, because it does not look like a thing that I would want to do necessarily. So now we've got Unity and Unreal and Lumberjack or Lumberyard. And it's a lot easier just to be able to focus on the actual game itself. That said, I can't seem to keep my hands away from doing little technical tweaks and stuff rather than actually working on the game.
I think you kind of have to do that regardless, even if you are doing an engine. And this is in Unity.
This is Unity 5.
Unity 5, yeah. Right. And it's been in development for
about 7 months. I started on it around June after I gave up on my first game, which was kind of ridiculously ambitious because I was making a multiplayer client-server Minecraft type building game with RPG elements and questing.
Yeah.
That's my first game. It worked, sort of. There were some bugs, but I gave up on it mainly not because I couldn't really do it in the technical sense, but I couldn't do it in terms of testing. Trying to test a multiplayer game with just one person is just too difficult. And it's kind of a bummer because I really enjoyed that game and doing multiplayer stuff, but oh well.
Yeah.
So I backed off on it, and then I said, let me make a game. Let me start to finish, make a game, go through the process, and what's the simplest game I can make? And I remember listening to John Blow talk about 3D when he was this was a little after Braid, and he said 3D is really hard, do 2D. And I said, well, okay, 2D. I said, what's easier than 2D? Well, let's try 1D.
Right.
Can I make a one-dimensional game? And that's how this started.
So you really better finish this one.
Well, yeah, I can finish it, but can I sell it? I got to get it on
Right.
Greenlight or get it through Greenlight first before I can, at least on Steam. But yeah, that's how Wondee started.
And it's
It's
been, I was going to ask, it's been development for how long at this point?
about 7 months.
About 7 months, okay.
Yeah, since about the beginning of June last year.
Right. Well, sure, let's go ahead. Maybe I'll talk a bit, since we're here, about the menu. I'm assuming this is like, because I guess with the Greenlight Steam, it's sort of designed to be like a demo.
Yeah,
And,
yeah. So I did a demo build of it that's actually linked in the Steam Greenlight, and that's why I've got the Steam Greenlight logo up there.
Right.
Yeah.
I am curious, like, how come I noticed there's like these buttons. They.
Yeah. So that's moving up and down an entire panel.
Oh, I see. Okay, it's because when you're using
Yeah.
controller, they feel redundant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was trying to do both mouse and controller and keyboard support on the UI, which is,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's Unity does some weird things with when the mouse hovers over a button,
Yeah.
it selects it, which I really don't want it to do.
Right.
It's kind of I might actually disable mouse control just for that reason, just because it's you're going to play it with a keyboard or a controller. You're not going to play it with the
Yeah.
mouse. So navigating with the mouse, but yeah, it totally supports gamepad navigation, which let me tell you was a titanic pain in the butt.
Etziard asks, is difficulty of production directly proportional to number of dimensions?
Yes.
Yeah. I think just your baseline is much higher, right? Like the baseline of a 3D game is going to be much higher than the baseline of a 2D game.
Yeah, there are a number of shortcuts that are because it's a quote unquote 1D kind of thing. I mean, what I mean by 1D is I'm only comparing one axis. In a lot of cases where I'm looking at ray casting to see if I hit something or distance to an object. It's if you're on a separate, as we'll see in the game, if you're on a separate dimension, you're not there as far as the character is concerned. So I'm able to use things like just checking one axis. In a lot of cases, you'd have to do 2 or 3.
Right. Yeah, he also mentioned scroll wheel on the panels, which it does work. Yeah, scroll wheel does work.
Yeah, scroll wheel does work. Yeah, I honestly spent almost more time on the UI than the rest of the game.
UI is a huge pain.
Yeah. Well, I got a little ambitious, but yeah.
Tiny Angry Crab is here. He says, actually, I don't know. Could you? It's a question for you, Gary. Could you describe what type of effective response you want the player to have to your game? Pure curiosity or something more?
Oh, pure curiosity. Well, originally I was thinking this game was more story driven, about the character that transforms from 1 dimension to 2 dimensions to 3 dimensions, and kind of on and on and on. Where can I go with this? I had a hard time telling that story, I think, in the gameplay. So it's backed off and it's much more arcadey. So the tutorial here says tutorial/story because it's kind of what that story was going to be, but it's much less. It's not so much kind of an adventure game as just a straight up arcade game with some kind of mechanic about transforming between one state to another.
Tiny Angry Crab also asked, is this inspired by Flatland, which I actually have a copy of here with me. I've just started reading it. I'm actually not even in the actual story. I'm in the intro.
Yeah, I've never read Flatland, but yeah,
Oh.
it was something I knew about. I heard about it in high school mathematics class, a long time ago.
It's not a very big book, and you can get it on Amazon for like $3. I think it's like at this point, if your game touches on dimensionality, it's required reading.
Yeah, and apparently they made there's an animated movie about it or something.
Yeah,
and
it's really hard to find though. Like I've seen.
Yeah,
bits of it,
and it kind of some of the characters kind of looked like the characters I was making in a sense. That was kind of interesting.
And Dylan Jones, welcome. Hello. Dylan runs Game Nest in San Francisco, which they host lots of parties during GDC. I mean, they do more than that, but
Yeah,
So,
Dylan says I will vote for this. Thank you. I need your votes. Green light, because I don't have a whole lot right now, and it's going to take me a long time to get through green light if I don't get some. So thank you.
right. So, should we start with tutorial? I guess
Yeah,
is
go
that the
ahead.
first? Okay. Okay. Wait, let me.
I'm just going to sit back and kind of watch you play because I don't get many opportunities to see people play the tutorial.
And hold on, let me just find where my mouse is. Oh, does this lock? Okay, actually, this is fine. Should there be sound here?
Yeah, do you have the sound
Okay,
enabled?
hold on, I might need to make it not full screen. Keep. Back. Hold on, I just might have disabled it earlier. Yeah, there we go.
Ah, there you go. Okay. I was going to say you had sound earlier.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's because the this always happens where sometimes the game, because you like disable the mouse cursor, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it like Unity it does that thing where then you can't, but you actually do have a really good UI.
No, thanks.
Though, okay, full screen, keep, and frame rate lock. There we go. Okay, I think this. Is it? Yeah. Okay, there we go. All right, Tiny Angry Crab also gave you a vote.
Yay! Thank you, Tiny Eagle Crab.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean about the character with the flatland animation. Okay, so everything lives on the line, it's all there is. That is my world. Turbo, get it, and go, 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 go. Okay, so far so good. Square is a solid, I have to pop past them. A to pop the black dot. I'm not sure what happened. Did I just like... That's a sticky cloud, so sticky, they slow me down. Okay. Is the dot... Okay, hold on. I'm just gonna keep calling. You don't have to like answer the questions. I'm more just... The dot is like teleporting me past the point, or a pointee, watch out, they hurt. I think that's what's happening, is the black dot is like skipping me. Which is interesting. I guess it's like the equivalent of a jump. Sparklies, they make me powerful. Menu volume. Yeah, you have a really intense volume like menu. There's a ton of options, which is really great. Editorial, is this intended to be a mobile game? Well, I am playing with the Xbox 360 controller, by the way.
Yeah, right now it's Windows Mac and uses gamepad and keyboard, but it's definitely the kind of game that's going to lend itself to mobile, and so I'm planning on doing a mobile port. I've had it running on Android. I had the Android build running a long time ago when the control scheme was a little simpler, so it'll work well there. I just got to get the control scheme kind of ironed out and get the performance to where it'll run well on mobile. That's going to be a big trick. I've been spending the last couple of weeks just grinding on performance, and no, this is actually the most recent build William's playing here with performance tweaks in it.
Double sparkly. I've never seen one of those before. Let's see something. Oh, interesting. How can he see the other line?
He's got eyeballs.
Oh shit, I can go backwards too. It feels, I feel like the there's like a beat when you change. Is there a reason why it's not more like instant, like
Yeah, there's a little delay or kind of a cooldown between each lane change. That's really for gameplay because it would be a little too easy to kind of move around. It's really kind of to make the difficulty a little bit harder. So you have to
right, because then it'd be almost like a rhythm. I think because like you're so used to that thing in rhythm games where you changing between the lines. There's no beat to it, but you have it there. 3 dimensions. Interesting. This is interesting. Oh, interesting. Interesting. This is kind of cool. Damn. I like mega pointies are too tough for me. I stay out of their way. Oh fuck. Oh, I'm almost in a way. I think for speed, I almost want to be. Maybe not. Right, because you want to discourage line shifting.
Yeah, so it's generally easy to dodge something by shifting lines rather than trying to pop over it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a balancing mechanic there to make that a little. There's also a reason on mobile so that you don't hold down like the move button and just like pop 2 instead of 1,
right.
that sort of thing.
Okay.
There's another reason for it. So you actually can't die in the tutorial.
Oh, I can't. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a reason when the background changes color?
Yeah. So when you're eating those sparkly, I'll let you.
What was the end? Run away. Oh shit. Okay. Oh right. Okay. So that's. These dots are spheres, aren't they?
Yeah, the dots are spheres. The sparklies are little spheres. The double sparklies are kind of 2 spheres kind of glued together.
That was fun. Let's do that again. Okay. Upgrade. Invulnerable? Is that a word? Tiny Angry Crab says, I think 100% of the tutorial text can be done away with, pretty much, because you're on a Wondee line, the player can't really avoid the early stuff. And if you just leave the button press prompt and the game stopping when they reach it, they will understand what they have to do.
Yeah, so originally the tutorial was more like that, a lot more abstract. That was the kind of intention. And I got some interesting feedback early on, where I'm trying to tell the player, go left and right, and it was kind of actually tricky to motivate. Some people just aren't. They want to be told what to do in a tutorial, so they're waiting for prompt to do something.
Right.
So I decided, rather than going an abstract route, I'm just going to go more explicit, saying do this, do this, do this. Although there is sections of the game where there's not as much hand-holding, where there's just a little indicator up in the corner saying you need to do, you need to bump 5 pointies, you need to eat 1 double sparkly, that sort of thing. So there, in the very beginning of the tutorial, I'm more hand-holdy. And towards the end, a little less so.
I do think there's probably a little bit to it, because I think there was, like, when I was going through the tutorial, some of the it was very clear which ones were positive and which one were negative. Like when I
Good.
saw the treasure chest, I was like, I'm gonna get something good, and then when it paused and told me that, I thought it felt a little redundant.
Okay. A little verbose, yeah.
Yeah, like in like the speedy thing that was clear. The sparkly one is maybe more. What does that one do again? I read it, but I don't remember.
So sparkly is a power-up. That's how you get
Right.
powered up so that you can bump the pointies. It's exactly the same concept as the Pac-Man dot, the big dot in Pac-Man, where he eats the big dot, and now it can go chase the ghosts and eat the ghosts.
Right.
Same sort of concept, yeah. Oh, and here's the reverse dimension that you inspired.
Oh, I see. This is dark. What's shit? What's happening here?
So basically, all the movements of all the enemies in the game is reversed. Yeah. So now the now the pointies don't move. The dots do move. The clouds
I
move.
see.
Yeah. So everything's kind of reversed in that sense. But their basic mechanics are the same. So the dots are still something you eat and get points for. The pointies are still something that'll do damage if you're not powered up, that sort of stuff. I thought changing those would be a little too confusing because it's hard to see, I think, unless you're playing it. But it's kind of weird, especially if you, like me, have been playing it for a few hours, to have everything suddenly shift on you like that. Ezio Auditore said the rendering feels a bit strange. It's orthographic, and other times it isn't. That's absolutely true. The beginning of the tutorial is orthographic 2D flat head-on, and then about two-thirds way through the tutorial, when you shift into quote-unquote 3D mode, it actually flips to perspective and rotates the camera down to kind of do a reveal. So actually, I had to make this game twice in a sense, because everything has to work in orthographic mode and perspective mode. There's a lot of hard-coded if tutorial do this.
Why do we go from the 2D mode to 3D perspective? Because it's still basically, we're still moving along the same plane, right?
Yeah, for gameplay, it's exactly the same. It's just a perspective change. I know it was just part of this original concept of trying to go from one dimension to two dimension to three dimension. That kind of
was thinking,
change like that.
I think the reveal from 1 to 2 is really cool, and I almost feel like the reveal to the third dimension is happening a little bit too soon. I'm wondering if there's a line where you can go, can you in 3D go up and down, or are you still sliding left to right? I kind of thought when it was in 3D, I now would be moving vertically as well as left, right.
Yeah, so early in the design, I actually had a 5-line system. So I had 3 across, 1 up, and 1 down from the center line. And you could go up, or you could go down, or you could go down again. And
but if you were on the left or right ones, you couldn't go to the up and
right. So there was a center line where you could go to the other 4 lines, right? And what I found after playing it for a long time was that I would just basically stay in one plane, one way or the other. I would just generally just stay on the front and back. And there was no real gameplay mechanic that made the top and bottom lines any different than the other lines. So unless I did something like that, I just decided, you know what, I'm going to simplify the game. I'm going to get rid of the top and bottom, because it was also visually very confusing to try to discern which line was which. Even with the mechanic where the line you're on turns purple to match the player.
Right.
So I early on decided I'm just going to, well, not early on, actually, it was probably around October, I decided to scrap the top and bottom lines, just go with 3, and it's been pretty good.
Yeah, I guess because it was more just the pacing of it, where it was like, well, it was 1D, and that was cool, and I felt like you could have kind of maybe gone a little bit, like when the second line was introduced, I thought that was a really neat moment. And then when it went into 3D, that was also a cool moment, but it didn't have the same as like, it was like, oh, okay, it's just a different perspective as opposed to like new gameplay. And I think if you combine it with new gameplay, I don't know how you would, yeah, like you said, I can see it being really confusing. Or maybe you could just wait until, if you just did that later on in the game,
Sure. Yeah, the
That might be
tutorial used to be a
better.
lot longer. There was a
Yeah.
long sections where you kind of where you kind of didn't really know, what you were doing and stuff like that. So I've increased the pacing. Excuse me, I've increased the pacing really fast. It's really tight. You can get through the whole tutorial in about 3 minutes or maybe less. So yeah, I might need to extend that now. Which
Yeah.
is funny because all I really have to do is spawn things farther away.
What if I was thinking one thing could be if you go to 3D and because it does sound like when you start having lines stacked vertically, it just visually is very confusing. Was what if you had like you come to these junctions and you have a choice between turning 90 degrees to the left or going straight, and as soon as you turn, the camera would then like realign itself.
Right.
But
So you would
at
have
least it would
yeah,
yeah, it
kind
would
of
look like that, and then
turn
when
like
you turn
a,
onto that, it like swap back.
yeah,
Like,
like
you'd have
a
to do some
audio
camera
surf or
stuff,
something.
but at
Yeah.
least that would be introducing the third dimension. Because I think more. It's like I thought that was so super cool to go there and then to have things look different, but it was more just like, oh, there's no. Whereas when you go into 2D, it had the gameplay element. The 3D one didn't, and I think that made it a little anticlimactic. But it's still like a cool moment. And I feel like it could just be even.
Right, even cooler.
It's super cool, right? Because it's that moment when you're like, it's supposed to be that breaking horizon moment when the world is bigger than what you thought, and I think you can
Right.
milk it by both putting it later and having a bigger impact. The or wrapping them around the 3D surface of things.
Yeah, I've thought about doing it where the lines are actually starting to would curve to kind of indicate that you're on a some sort of circle
Yeah.
or something like that, or do a roller coaster, that sort of thing. It's gonna be a lot of code to do that.
That is
Maybe I
not-
could do it in a shader.
yeah. You could do it in a shader. I feel like that would be because I almost feel like the 3D thing is so cool that you can almost save that, not necessarily like until the very end, but like a good halfway point. Yeah, because the thing is like it's like you're like giving me two really cool things, one right after the other, and because the impact from the first cool thing still hasn't worn off, the second thing like doesn't look as cool. You know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you've introduced
Yeah.
a new line, and I'm still like super stoked about that. And then you're like, cool, new dimension. And I'm like, oh, I was still excited about the new line. And you gotta like, I think you can definitely afford to like let that wear off, the novelty of the additional line wear off before you change the perspective.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like it's a good thing. I think you're
Yeah. It's just too
showing
compressed.
two
Yeah.
good things like too quickly, and I'm saying like, yeah,
Sure.
you have room to milk it out. Hey, Abner is here. Yeah, we're talking to Garrett Polk, creator of Wondee, and it's actually a really really cool game. And we're talking about, yeah, I mean this is really more about like how you want to make that like pacing. Yeah, the overall game pacing, but I think the good there you have the mechanics there. Is there any gameplay difference between having the right? So I think right now it's
Right now, none. Yeah, it's exactly the
question.
same.
Is there any gameplay difference between having the three lines rendered in 2D versus having them playing in 3D? And there isn't, and I think yeah, even just like a few small things would really go a long way.
Yeah, the early prototypes, I actually had game modes where you started and kind of like tutorial. You started with one line, then went to 2 and 3, and then it flipped to 3 sideways, basically the 3D mode, and then went 4 and 5. But yeah, it was actually kind of tricky to when you're in that one line. Since you have no options, it's actually really hard because it means you have to pop over
Right.
any obstacle, and that's a lot harder than switching lines. So I basically cut all that out and just left it. So the rest of the game just plays in the 3-line 3D mode, just to simplify the game so I could ship it.
So I know I don't want to like keep adding more stuff, but I was wondering if
No, this is what I'm here for.
Some lines, some parts you only have one line, and then some parts you have the three. Like some lines end.
Oh yeah. I contemplated doing that, like have a row of solids that you couldn't get past, so you had to switch like obstacles that would be on the line, just kind of as you're going by, basically to limit you to 2 or 3 lines. Yeah, but having lines just terminate, that'd be interesting.
And if you got there, you would just it would end.
It would end. You'd be like, oh, invalid space over there. I got to go here.
So let's talk about some of the different options. So you have goodies is okay. That's how do I go back? Okay. Difficulty. Oh, I see. And so then with race.
Yeah, so now you've got, these are all different ways of playing the game. There's timed sections where you're trying to you've got a certain amount of time, you're trying to get a high score. Ezio says, fix text rendering because I've got a score overlapping a chest icon. You're absolutely right. That's a bug. That shouldn't happen. I got to go figure out what happened there.
There's also, I do think also maybe right now the menu's a little bit more, like I would have it in submenus. Right now you have like everything, and it's
I was trying to
race, and then that panel would go away, and then you go to the next one. Because right now it's like well, do I match this with that, or it can just be a bit overwhelming.
Yeah, have the games in a separate menu, have a new game or start game at the top, and do it that way. Yeah,
and I think like also, what is kind of cool is because the game is 1D, it would almost make more sense. I feel like you could have it where you have all the buttons on a line, and they're just they're all visually. Mm-hmm. There's a single line connecting them, so you're
sure
to have that thematically tie in with the gameplay would be really neat.
I tried to do a version of that with the page indicator on the right side.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But I was thinking you could just maybe do that even with the buttons themselves are on a single line.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And then maybe like
I see what you're saying.
You're switching between these lines. That's like going between these layers of submenus. So it's almost a replica of your gameplay.
Right. Interesting. I'll have to think about that. Yeah.
Now in the race, that's race mode, and I haven't done chase challenge. Is that right? Yeah,
you've only done the ones with the scores are the ones you've completed. Yeah.
So let's check out the different modes.
So in these modes, you've got the end on one side pushing you towards the finish line. So you've got this. So the end is kind of it's almost like a visual timer in a sense. You can't lollygag around in one section of the map. You have to constantly be moving in one direction.
And I'm now going in the opposite direction.
Yeah. So right now you're going left. The end will spawn on either side. The game isn't a right to left to right.
Okay. Is there a reason for that, or?
I actually intentionally did that. I wanted you to have the option of going either direction at any time. I didn't want to kind of limit the player. Some of these platformers, Mario, you start left and you go right. And it's interesting to watch people play the tutorial a little bit to see if they go in that, the right way or the left way, because the tutorial works going the left way. So
you can go left.
Yeah, you can go left from the very beginning.
Wait, did I choose which direction to go in?
Mm-hmm. I think it's just because we read left to right. That's my theory.
No, I mean, like, I could have chosen, like, in this one, I'm going left.
Well, no. Well, you could do it that way, but you're going to die pretty fast because you've got the end on one side of you. So there's little design ideas I have with the end. I want it to be so that it never gets so far away that you can't see it. So it'll always be in the corner of the screen, kind of, in the corner of your eye, where it's there. It's this kind of impending doom coming after you the whole time.
Why is it a diagonal instead of, orthogonal to the lines?
That's just the perspective.
I see.
It's flat against the line. Yeah, it's just that you're flat against the line, but you're looking at it the camera's skewed. So the camera zooms out and skews based on your direction and your speed, so that you actually see more in the direction you're going, depending on how fast you're going.
Okay, I was thinking it might make more sense where it's like it it looked orthogonal
to the screen.
To the screen, or to the lines, not to the screen. Or actually, maybe it doesn't matter. It's when it starts getting to you, it's actually seems to be pretty even.
Yeah.
And are there different? There aren't different levels, right? It's more just like these different modes, and then each time I get different high scores and can change a different.
Yeah. No, I don't think you noticed on the high score there, but there's one of the coolest features, I think. Yeah, so there's 3 difficulty modes. Right now you're playing on the middle difficulty. But yeah,
I know that is that. Oh, I see. It says up there at the very top.
Yeah, it says it on the main menu.
But also, I think right now, like race chase challenge above the hearts.
Yeah. So that's the indicator of the game type, the particular level, and the difficulty. And unfortunately, that's right now the best way I have for listing that. I'm constantly trying to think of better ideas ways to convey that are a little less just text dump.
I see. So you have quite a number of modes.
Yeah. So there's these race modes like we just played. Even within that, there's these safe zone modes, which are no pointies. One of the person that's been helping me test this the most, he has a little daughter, and she doesn't like pointies. She's scared of the pointies. So I put in modes which are you just run around and try to get a high score with no sense of.
I see.
Well, in this case, you do have an end. You have the end chasing you.
So there's no like a single player campaign. Wait, did the end? What the hell? Did the end just switch sides?
Yeah, it switched sides.
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah, there's no real campaign mode. It's just it's just a tutorial and then a series of challenges like this.
Oh, I see.
But there are specific challenges. There are like all these early ones all have the same requirements, so you can beat it. And the ones that have the goodie box icon on it, when you beat it, you get to unlock a reward for that.
Okay.
On any difficulty.
I almost feel like I feel like you have stuff that could be just like a sequence of challenges, and then having some of these more different modes be things that are unlocked. Is that?
Yeah, I could totally do that. Yeah.
Because I feel like that can be. Right now, it's like everything is all there, and that's. I mean that's fine, but I feel like it takes away some of the like reasons for people to play. Not that like I'm not saying that's right. I mean a lot of that is kind of like the bait thing, right? You're putting the kind of the carrot in front of the player to like keep making them like keep playing. But
yeah.
I do think that stuff is helpful, like unlocking things, feeling like I guess the problem right now is like if you get a high score, it doesn't feel like you're rewarded because you've already given me everything at the beginning.
Oh yeah. Having unlocked difficulty levels, I thought about doing that early on. Yeah. Maybe I should put that back in.
I'm thinking. Have you played? By the way, Jindo one says. Oh yeah, Ezio Torres says like two things. So he's talking about a symbol that switches perspectives, and then Jindo 1 likes the back and forth and how it's not just an endless runner in one direction. Have you played Have you played Downwell?
No, I have not played Downwell.
So Downwell is cool because it's got it has like, as you get high scores, and it's what's cool about it is that the high scores accumulate, right? So you don't need to like hit 40,000 in one run. It's like if you got one run and you did 20,000, and another run you got 5,000, and then another run you got 10,000, then they add up to be 40. Then you unlock new gameplay modes. And
You're
those
kind
are
of grinding.
fun because then they make you want to go back. And I feel like right now, like you can
Almost.
hit. Yeah, you just make it so you get 5,000 in one way, and then you can unlock reverse dimension, and that's cool because
Okay.
like I think as a beginner, I am first of all just like totally overwhelmed with the variety of things here, and it's just like everything is. Like, I think if you made it where it's like you can't unlock this next panel until you've...
Right. So
Yeah.
give the player more guidance in terms of do this next, do this
Yeah,
next.
do that, right? Because then you get the benefit of not overwhelming, though, at the beginning.
Yeah.
And
There's a game.
you get the unlocking, the like, oh, cool, I unlocked this new thing. Let me go check it out.
There's a game called Pivot.
Pivot.
with
Yeah, I know Whitaker
Yeah.
Trabella. He's here in Chicago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I looked at that game for a number of ideas in terms of the UI, in terms of progression, stuff like that. But yeah, it'll be interesting to.
Does Pivot
yes,
do
to-
everything up front?
No,
Okay.
you have to. I think you have to. There's a lot of unlocking and a lot of kind of challenges to get to the next section or stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh,
As I recall, I didn't play it too much, but yeah.
just want to clarify Ezio's comment. He was talking about the symbol with changing different modes. I think he was having suggesting like a chase camera. Oh.
Oh, okay, that's what he meant. Okay,
So
I
that'd
read
be-
that.
it'd be
I'm
like
sorry.
behind the
Right.
The,
You're behind. You're looking down behind.
right.
Instead of looking at him side on,
Yeah.
you're looking at him head on, sort of audio surf style.
Yeah. I mean that's. Yeah.
Or
I feel like a
runners.
lot of these too would be pretty major.
The one problem with that is you would see how I've cheated the world. The world is only about this big,
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
or just slightly, larger than the screen. And as soon as stuff goes off one end, it despawns and then gets put into my object pool.
That's like Octodad.
Oh, yeah.
They don't give you control of the camera because like
Oh,
if you
right.
do, there's like they actually don't have a lot of the background, so like you would see how small the world is, and I feel like so it's like you have a ton of stuff that I think you could add that would increase your dev time like quite a. I mean, I don't know, right? They seem like significant changes, but just given like what you have now, I actually do feel like you have a game, like a completed game already. If you just, it's like you have all this stuff and you just need to like pace it out well.
Right.
As
Yeah,
opposed to
yeah,
being
yeah. I
like,
think that's good.
here's everything, right? And I think that's like difficulty mode. Like this stuff should get unlocked. You start off with just tutorial, and you don't even let them. Because I think the problem with this is like, if for a lot of people they're like, okay, there's a tutorial, or I can just like go straight down to.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, I originally kind of thought about that. I can't remember exactly why I gave it up other than simplicity. But even in the game over mode, it gives you a suggested like the next level. Here, play the next level, which just goes down the list. And I've watched people do that. They go in the tutorial and they just kind of go next through. I think there are a lot of mobile games kind of do that, and they've gotten used to that sort of
But I
mechanic.
think like you can. I think having the unlock stuff would make it pace a lot. Yeah, it's just like. Right now, it's just so overwhelming,
Right, it's just-
and I feel like
Right.
the issue right now is I feel like I'm just crossing things
Sure.
off a checklist, When
Oh, okay. Yeah.
because it's like, okay, I got this big list of things, I gotta try them. When if it's more like, okay, I finished this and then I got a new one. Oh, that's like, okay, I'm gonna go play that now, and then it's like, oh, another new one, right? So like,
Yeah, I thought about like the goodie that unlocks in that particular level is always the same. So I thought about putting the name of the goodie or something like that, saying, "Hey, you're going to get this if you
oh,
finish
I
this
actually
mission."
think you shouldn't.
You know, you
I
shouldn't.
think I think you both shouldn't tell people when you get a goodie and what you're gonna get, because I think that's like one of the things. I remember John Femblow talking about. He was like, talking about some game that's an RPG, and you got like crates that you can smash and get goodies. And
Right.
he's saying, and I don't fully understand this because I don't do it in my game. I don't have like crate boxes, right? But he was saying how like the particular game I was playing, he was like, these guys clearly don't know what they're doing because every time you smash a crate, you get the same reward.
Yes,
And that,
yes,
like,
yes.
made
I remember that talk. Yeah,
He
yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
when really sometimes you should get no reward, and sometimes you get like a really awesome reward, and that's like what makes it exciting. Because then otherwise you're
Yeah.
just like, I'm not gonna get like, and I feel like if you don't, and I think Downwell does it too, where it doesn't show you, or maybe it does show you how many points you need to get to the next one. Yeah.
I don't show you what good you've unlocked until the end. I don't even actually generate it until the game
Oh,
over
I
screen,
see.
or the area before the game over screen. Yeah, but I don't spawn dupes anymore. I used to spawn. You could get the same hat over and over again, but you could only have one. So
Right.
that was kind of a downer. So I wanted at least the goodie box to be like, you're going to get something. You know, if you get this, you're going to get something. Especially at the higher difficulty levels, where navigating to get a goodie box might be a hazard.
Oh, I see.
You want to get a reward for it, but I don't do it until the end. Although actually, if you quit out of the game in the middle, I do reward you for that. You
Is
know,
that a bug?
no, I do that.
You do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait, why would you want to reward the player if they quit?
I felt like getting it was earning it, and the fact that you finished the level or something.
Oh,
made
like if you hit the number of
keep that.
points but didn't finish the level.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah, that
I
sort of
see.
thing. Yeah. So go into the goodie panel for a second, and I'll just show
panel,
you what's
there we
in there. Yeah. So I've got these upgrades in here, which
Oh.
change basic mechanics of the game. So
Yeah, I think this too. Like, you don't want to show people because it's like,
oh,
right? I'm just
okay,
like,
interesting. Yeah, hide
I
all the.
know what's gonna happen. Whereas, like, one of the
'Cause you
cool
got-
things with, and I'm talking about Downwell a lot just because I don't play too many games with like unlockables, and Downwell was the one I played for a while. But it had the new color palette, and you didn't know like the complete set of color palettes, but like every time you got one, it was sort of this exciting thing to like, let me go see what it does, as opposed to, I think if you show players the complete list, then it's like, then it starts to feel like a checkbox. It's totally different. But Talos Principle felt very much like that for me, because
Oh yeah,
every
yeah.
level they would show like, this is section A, these are 10 doors, and inside
Sure.
door 1, these are all the puzzles, and it's just like, you're sort of completely overwhelmed. You're just like, okay, here's all the thing, let's start tackling. Whereas if you don't know the size of it, you're just like, oh, I'm gonna keep. It's like, I think like Disney does. I think I'm just a little farther. I keep moving back when talking. I'll talk closer to the mic. Like Disney's got when they do their design, right? I mean, a lot of times when you're at Disney, you're just like waiting in line, but they'll never show you the entire line, right? It's always like,
Oh yeah.
it's going around
Yeah.
corners, and so you're just thinking of it in these little sections that are like very consumable, and it's exciting. And then you go to the next one, there's something new to absorb, and you're never thinking about like this big picture and how big it is. And I feel, yeah, it's like, you've got a
No, that's a
game.
good idea.
You should
I see
just
what you're saying.
not, like, literally
I mean,
right
the
now
way-
it just feels like I go to your house for a meal and you've like laid out appetizer and
Here's
and
everything.
dessert, like,
Now
all at once, and I'm like, that's a lot of food. When you're like, really, right?
Right.
And it's a good thing because you're not like missing. It's not like lack of content.
You want one of the high-end restaurants where you get a small plate and then another small plate,
a small plate. You just keep
or
getting
dim sum.
small plates. And I'm so excited about that next small plate. And then
Right.
it's like, oh, then it's finished, as opposed to being like,
Yeah,
wow,
that's a really good idea.
this is a
And
lot
the
of
nice
food
thing
I
is
have
it's
to
easy to implement.
yeah, and it's just like, don't show everything early on.
Before we end, there's one, probably the coolest part of the game is something you probably won't notice because you're playing the stream and trying to do 4 things at once. But on the game over screen where you're getting your high score, let's see if you can do it.
Let's see which mode should I go to?
Pick one that you've already played and just try to beat your high score.
I think I can probably beat evasion.
Yeah, especially if you haven't played it, because top you get, the higher the difficulty, the more points you get. There's a multiplier at the end of the game. I wanted to reward people for actually playing at the higher difficulties, especially if I have Steam leaderboards and stuff like that.
That's right.
You also have fewer lives, so you only get 2 lives. So yeah, that's quick. But let's see here. Did you beat your high score?
Difficulty? No, I'm almost. Give me. Oh shit! I did. Okay, new high score.
So that's my troll-tastic high score counter.
Wait, what happened? I was below, and then I went.
Yeah, well, at the really low scores like this, it's hard to kind of tell. But what happens is, if you beat your high score, it computes a value that's about 80 to 90% of your original high score, counts up to that, and then slows down as it gets closer and closer to your high score, and then speeds back up again, and then gets to your actual score.
Oh, nice. But now the 9,000 is never shown to me, right? During
no, not during gameplay.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's actually
I did that on
cool.
purpose.
I like that. Yeah,
I did that on purpose.
I see what you mean. When it's a low score, you don't see it as much, right? Because the numbers are like.
Yeah, it's just the counting intervals.
You hit it pretty quickly, but
yeah, I count in intervals of 100, so it doesn't.
Right. That's cool. Yeah, I don't know if yeah, I guess just to summarize, it's like I feel there's just the stuff early on. Well, I think UI is like a little overwhelming right now, and you can
that's
split it up.
Relatively easy to
I do think
parse
your
out,
tutorial is pretty self-explanatory. I think you definitely have too much text, and there are a lot of moments.
Yeah.
I think your visuals are pretty clear in telling me what's good and what's bad, and it was like when I saw the treasure chest, I was just like, I want to see what that, and then you're like, hey, you're gonna get something good here, and I'm like, yeah, I know that,
Yeah.
So that was like, and then I do think the when you introduce a new line, that's a really cool moment. You could probably do that a little bit later.
Okay.
Like maybe you could do your one line, and then you have like a speed thing. So you gotta do it within. You gotta just finish it. Under a certain speed. Like nothing ridiculous, right?
Right.
Yeah, like okay, then they feel like they earned the second line.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Complete this
I
challenge.
see. Yeah, making them earn it.
Right. So
yeah, I noticed.
Like, milk. Yeah, so then you like build up anticipation, then you have the second line, and then definitely keep that for a while before you introduce the third dimension. Even, I do think it would work a lot stronger if you had both some kind of mechanic to go with the third dimension perspective. But I know, like, that's like a feature creep, right? But even if you did want to do that, I still think that perspective, you can save it for a bigger moment. And I think...
Well, I think making that reveal at the that 3D reveal is like the key to the game to me. You get that's my hook, or that's what's going to hook the player right to the next part of the game. So yeah, trying to maximize that is definitely important. So yeah, I noticed that early in the tutorial you were having a problem with the concept of eating the sparkly and bumping the pointy. So if I extend that section a little bit more to kind of run you through it a couple times, maybe that'll space out getting to the next section about having multiple lines or something like that. So there's sections that I could kind of pad out a little, not really pad out, but expand on a little more.
I guess another idea is also maybe you don't have to introduce all of the mechanics on the line.
Yeah.
A single line, right? Like you can maybe introduce some of the power-ups only once they're in the second line. Like
You know what? You don't need to show all the
Yeah.
line stuff, and then do 2 lines. You can like some of them, and then you do 2 lines, and then here's still some new stuff, which I think might help keep it fresh.
Yeah, space out the. Yeah, I do the megas at the end. Well, I do.
Oh, you do the mega triangles. Yeah.
I do the end, and then the mega, and then the finish
Right.
line in the
right.
in the 3D
Yeah.
mode. Yeah, the end sequence. But I could play around with moving stuff around.
Let
I
me-
spent a ridiculous amount of time on that tutorial. I don't know if you want to take a look at the prototype, but you can do that
Sure.
too.
Let's see. We do.
We kind of covered a lot of it, though.
Yeah. Let's just take a quick.
That won't support. I don't think that will support windowed mode.
That won't support window
I
mode. Okay, let
don't.
me.
It might. Actually, it might, but it won't be resizable windowed mode. But that's okay.
I think I can do windowed.
Okay, there we go. It does
Right?
window. I think it'll
Just,
do it. Yeah.
Prettiest. So this is a build from Labor Day.
This is a build from Labor Day. Yeah.
So,
This is a
like,
build that I
6
built
months
for a
ago?
Labor Day party.
Ish?
Yeah. No, Labor Day's September.
Right.
So
September, October,
it's a couple months
November,
ago.
January, February.
Yeah,
Almost
so-
6 months ago. 5 months ago.
So you,
Yeah.
so you can see how much I've done between just
Right.
September and now.
So let's take a look at this for the purpose of. Hold on, this is too loud.
Actually, I haven't heard audio in the game, at least not through.
Oh yeah, not through Google Hangouts.
Not through Hangouts. Okay, good.
Um,
You're hearing it in the stream,
we're
chatters.
hearing the stream. Yeah.
Okay, good.
It's definitely a little louder.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time on that audio.
Um,
I do stuff like in the dark mode, I guess now it might be called. No, the reverse mode. I add like a chorus effect to the music, so the music sounds all weird
oh,
and stuff.
sick.
Yeah, there's all kinds of little things. Okay, so here's the tutorial, the old tutorial.
Oh yeah.
Slightly different.
Yeah, the graphics are a lot rougher.
Yeah, that was one of the first things. Originally, my idea was to have this kind of abstract, sort of Thomas was alone kind of thing, but people couldn't identify with it that much.
Oh,
So
yeah,
one of the
I think having
one of
the eyes really help.
Yeah. I kind of made a joke of putting googly eyes on hats and everything so that people could identify with it, but that's what I ended up doing. So even in this mode, things have changed. So those orange balls are actually the dots.
Oh, so they're good.
Yeah, they're actually
Okay.
good. Yeah, a lot of the color scheme stuff changed, and a lot of the only one that looks about the same is the solid. That one's pretty much been the same since the very beginning. But again, it's text heavy. I pause the player while I'm giving them the text, and I can hear you on the keyboard tap 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 tap. How I want it, and you're telling me to go. I want to go. Yeah. Lots of little tweaks like that with good feedback that I got from my friends that are helping me test it.
I see that the text is like super. It's like one letter at a time.
Yeah, it's super slow. It won't let you do anything. Yeah, so I got the JRPG style now, where it comes up and you can dismiss it with a little pressing the button. I even got some stuff from. So here's the pointies. Although I do think the jump target's a little easier to see actually in this older build. But I even got some ideas from like Beginner's Guide. It wasn't so much that Beginner's Guide was the first to do it. I just saw it in the Beginner's Guide and realized that I should do it, where I put the text in the world and you actually kind of move past it. It was a way for me. It was a way for me to put text up there and not have to worry about whether the player had read it or not before I dismissed it, because they would naturally move away from it when they've read it. Okay, so now here's the biggest difference is in the old version you couldn't just go between lines whenever you wanted to. You had to go through these little,
for the green thing?
Yeah, you had to go through these little green gates. And so the early feedback I got was, this is really frustrating. I want to move anytime I want. It's very restricting and stuff like that.
Yeah, this is... Oh, I see. Oh, yeah, that's nuts. Yeah,
it does radically change the game, because now you really have to remember where, if I want to go to the line below, where's the next gate, where's the last gate, and the gates actually will disappear.
Like, why would you not gate? Because like as a player, you're like, well, obviously, if there's a gate there, the game is telling me there's something better on that side. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, and I actually had to do that in the old version where I would spawn things on the other lines and not spawn them on the center line. So the sparklies wouldn't spawn on the center line. They would only spawn on the outer line, so you kind of force you to go do things like that.
Yeah, it's also weird because you can kind of like go back and forth at the points. Yeah, I think the freedom to change is definitely better. It is 3 p.m. now, so I wanted to just, I don't know if people will spend a few more minutes if people have questions for Garrett, but first I do want to post the game website in the chat. And then so this is hold on a second.
You can go to wondeegame.com or you can go to that Longsword Studios. Wondee Game just redirects to that one. So
there's also the Steam Greenlight page.
Yeah, so it's up on Steam Greenlight, and I really need votes to get it through.
And what do you think? I mean, like just in terms of the rest of development, do you have a time for when you want to get it out? That's actually Abner's question. Why don't you mention how long it was in development before? Why don't you kind of reflect?
I've started it in about June of last year, so it's only been in development for about 7 months. Hopefully a couple more months that I can get it finished. It depends on basically like feature creep, like you're talking about, how much more I can get done. Right now I've got about a page or so of in Excel of bugs to fix and things to try out, add more hats, add more rims, that kind of stuff, a little monocle, all kinds of little things like that. And then, integrate all the feedback I've gotten today. That's probably going to take a little longer. I
mean, it depends on which ones, right? I think some of them, they're like big changes to the game, and some of them it's just like,
I think changing
everything at once.
That stuff is actually pretty easy. Yeah, because I've actually was originally designing the game to do that sort of stuff and then just kind of commented it all out. So, it's just a matter of going back in and hooking things back up and making it work right. Doing things like changing the geometry and stuff, that might be a giant pain in the butt. So I may not do that. I don't know. I'll have to try to think about that. I did try to mess with that. I tried to do full screen effects that were kind of a wave thing, but talk about motion sickness. It's no good.
There's motion sickness for 2D or...
Well, it's just because when the lines are wobbling back and forth. Yeah, well, motion sickness was something I was concerned about because there's so many objects moving. The camera slews, zooms out. You've got one of the reasons the end actually shifts position is because when you're going in one direction for so long, you kind of get this, blur. When you stop playing, everything kind of is still moving in your head. So by switching the direction, forcing you to switch direction from time to time, it actually kind of helps with that. All kinds of little things like that.
Ezio Auditore just realized the pun in your title.
Yeah, the pun. Yeah. Title came out pretty quickly after I decided to make it a quote-unquote 1D game, but it stuck. And plus, nobody's using it except for some Thai restaurant in New York. So, and I think a Chinese auto parts store or something. I don't know.
All right, cool. Well, I'm going to end the stream here. But before I do, I just want to let you guys know I'm going to host Ryan Clark's stream. He made... what's the game he made? Crypt of Necrodancer today, and Ryan does like a game design. He doesn't actually do design. He does more like market analysis, so he looks at the business side of things, which I think is very cool. Anyway, I'm just going to host it on the stream. But if any of you want to pop over and say hi, I'll hang out there for a little bit. Abner has one more question.
Let me answer that. The idea is that each little game that you play lasts only a couple minutes. So it's really almost geared towards mobile in a sense. I mean, I didn't really so much intend it for that, but so that you can pick it up, play a game, get through it in a couple minutes, put it back down again, pick it up. And that's kind of the arcade style where, you go to sit in front of your Pac-Man machine, you can only play for a few minutes before you died or something like that. But it's that kind of bite-sized gameplay that I wanted. There is actually at the very bottom of the menu, there's an entire gameplay mode that's procedurally generated where I just give you level after level after level of challenges, and you just see how long you can keep going, kind of a survival mode.
Wait, all the modes I played are procedurally generated, right?
No, all the ones you played in the beginning were all static. Well, I mean, the
Like, you
spawns
place-
are the procedural. All the
Oh,
spawns
yeah,
are
yeah,
procedural.
okay.
Even in the tutorial, the spawns are procedural.
Right.
Just kind of makes it kind of sometimes hard to bug fix. But yeah, so all the spawns are procedural, but the actual levels, like the challenge, is procedural in the unlimited mode. So it'll say eat 25 of these in 30 seconds. Okay, you beat that. Okay, eat 35 of those. You know.
Oh, I see.
Okay, now and then it'll say, okay, now get to the finish line, and then it'll switch to an inverted mode. Level where you do a bunch there, and then if you finish that, it'll go back to normal mode and just kind of keep
Right.
flipping between them like that. And that level change is actually sort of a rest mechanic, where you can kind of take a break for
Right.
a
I
second
see,
or two.
I see.
Yeah,
I mean, that sounds like it'd be your single player campaign. I mean, it's almost like you can have that
yeah. The
thing, and then all these other modes are sort of these unlocks.
Yeah, the way the levels are actually built, the tutorial and the other levels are actually built with the same system. So
Right.
I literally have do this. The requirement to get to the next part is such and such. You know, say this message, say that message, that sort of thing. So I can actually build this campaign sort of thing relatively
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah, so, and
Yeah.
I think that sounds like it'd be a good.
Yeah, a good addition to the game and a good way to
Yeah,
to kind
I
of
think I
not
would almost
overwhelm
make
the
it
player.
default one, you know, the default gameplay, and then you just it's like you just have a ton of unlockables, which
Yeah.
for you it's great because they're ready. You just need to, you know, spread
Yeah.
them out. Anyway, thanks so much for joining us and for sharing about the game. This is Wondee. Let me go ahead and just post again the websites in the chat.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having me. This has been really really cool.
Yeah,
Really
no,
enjoyed
I
it.
hope it was helpful. It was actually really fun to check out, and definitely read Flatland because I think,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, you and me both, right? These are it's sort of very relevant
It's on the
to
list.
what we're doing.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you never know where you get inspiration and ideas from. I get them from all over the place. You know, just be ready to write them down.
Okay, well, I hope you all have a good rest of the weekend. Thank you again, Garrett, for joining us, and I will see you guys. Well, okay, let me also post Ryan's stream in the chat if you guys want to go hang out there afterwards. And yeah, have a great rest of the weekend. And,
Thanks, William.
yeah, thank you, Garrett. Let me end this. How do I do this? Oh, sorry, I had my mic off. I was just saying, you all have a great weekend, and I will do more game development stream next week. And I'll see you guys later.